Getting ready to go live. Hi, everyone. You might be wondering why I have a dog on my lap. It's because she's going to cry if she doesn't get attention. So hopefully she will jump down here shortly. Cynthia and PJ are here. They're just off to my side, and they have all of their paranormal investigation equipment. So we have, what do we have? EMF meters and full spectrum camera, EVP, and thermal imaging. And PJ already did a baseline before we started the broadcast. So for those that are interested in the paranormal investigation part of it, that's what's going on. And they're just right off to my side. They could be on camera, but they didn't want to be, so that's okay. So what we're doing over and above the investigation part of this is actually the channeling with the connection. And Marla is waiting off in the wings, and when she speaks, you'll hear her. And most people know who Marla is. She's an author and show host of Stirring the Cauldron on the ParaX Radio Network. And so she's going to be the moderator. And we've already given her some questions that came from like my groups on Facebook and things like that. And you're also welcome to put your questions into the chat. And she will be looking at those and picking questions to present when I get into channel. So the next thing that we're going to do so that I have the opportunity to get into channel is we're going to have Marla pull a card from her Oracle her Oracle deck, sorry. And this is her own deck that she created. And for those that follow her on Facebook, you will have seen these cards come up. She does them once a week. So be sure and check those out. Her website is marlabrooks.com. If you need to get in touch with me, my website is bonnievent.com, in case I forget to say that at the end. I will be in channel, so when I come back out, I tend to be a little flighty, so I'm saying all this ahead of time. So if you have any questions before we get started, questions for me, feel free to type them in. And any questions that you have for the connection, it would also be a good idea to type them in now. The time will go by really, really quickly. I will be in channel about 45 minutes, and it's our hope to keep this to an hour. And so when we get done with the channeling, we'll do a little bit of assessment at the end. If they found anything on the equipment or anything interesting, they can come on camera and report that to you also. So at this point, are there any questions anybody has, Marla?
Nope, not yet. Everybody's settling in and sitting down and getting comfortable.
Okay, I just want to give everybody a minute to come in.
All right, Gina says, what questions can she ask? And you've kind of set a little bit of a protocol here, so.
Yeah, what you're going to be witnessing is actually channeling, and so it's a high-level group known as the Connection, and they tend to go into the higher spiritual level type of questions, meaning of life type of questions, not so much the mediumship that you may have seen other people do, and they will also do an introduction. But the questions really need to be questions that are not so personal in nature, but that can be helpful for other people as well. So it's more like influence type of questions, energy type of questions, earth changes. They may talk about that. I'm not sure what they're going to say in their introduction, but I just step to the side. That's another thing too, is that I am not in complete trance where I'm completely gone. I am able to hear what's coming out of my mouth. I just don't have any control over what's coming out of my mouth, which if you know me, that's kind of true when I'm not channeling as well. But at any rate, so it's more the higher level spiritually oriented questions.
Okay, that's good. we're starting to fill up a little bit, which is a good thing. And I do have some questions if anybody has questions to ask, so we're good there. Now, I'm going to be listening to Bonnie. I'm going to be doing the chat room. I'm doing all kinds of things. So if I miss a question that you say, that you type in, if I don't say it in about 5 or 10 minutes, get it back to me again, because I'm going to need to scroll back down, because the chat room does go really quickly.
It can also be helpful for Marla too, if you put the word question in all caps and then type in your question. You can look for things that start with question, and she'll know that it's not just regular chat, that you actually intend to ask a question.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So there's a little bit of a delay, so I'm waiting just a little bit to make sure that we don't have any questions before we get started, because you won't be able to ask me questions once we get started. You'll only be able to ask the questions to the connection. So
right, and keep talking for a minute, because I've got 2 people who are lost trying to get here. So let me just guide them where they need to be.
Okay. Yeah, it can be a little hard to get used to if you're not used to YouTube Live. I did put out, please do follow me on Facebook, because I put out a direct link to the show page so that you don't have to worry about going to my channel and all of those things. But if you do go to my channel, it'd be a good idea, if you want to follow this on an ongoing basis, to subscribe and click on the little bell, and it will notify you when we go live. You'll get a notification in your inbox, your email inbox. And we do intend to do these every Sunday from 6 until 7 p.m. Pacific time. And so we're really just, this is the very first one that we have done with this kind of format. I've done the channeling work before. Marla and I have done this on her radio show before, but this is the first time that we've actually done a live stream with the video. And as you know, the platform can be unstable and screens can freeze and all of those kind of things. But as long as we still have the audio going where I can get your questions and you can hear me, we're going to keep going. So, because we can't afford to stop and get me out of channel to fix it if it freezes. So we'll just have to hope for the best that everything rolls through here quickly.
Okay, now we've got a couple of questions in chat again. So I'm just going to repeat. I'm going to scroll back. I'm going to keep trying, but the chat room is moving. So if I don't get to your question quickly enough, just get back to me and say, hey, ask it again, okay?
Okay, so if we're ready to get started, I will toss over to Marla, and Marla is going to pick a card and give you an explanation on what the card is. And this is intended to set the tone for the channeling. And while she's doing that, with a dog on my lap, I'm going to try and get into channel. I've never done this with a dog in my lap before, but Harley seems a little nervous. So this is Harley, by the way. She seems a little nervous, and I'd rather that she not cry through the whole thing. So we're going to give this a try and see how it works out. So I'm going to let you go ahead, Marla, and I'm going to get in position here to get into channel.
Okay, and just warning you, if Harley starts to speak, I'm hanging up, all right? Just telling you. All right, what we're going to do, this is the Oracle deck. This is what it looks like. And let me shuffle and pick a card, and whatever card comes up, it really does kind of set the tone for what we're going to be doing tonight. And it's usually pretty accurate. So let me shuffle and cut the cards and draw a card. Okay. Oh, okay. So the card that I drew was the Eye of Horus. And Horus is an ancient symbol. It's one of protection and good health. He was himself an ancient Egyptian sky god, who is usually depicted as a falcon, and the mirror image, or the left eye, sometimes also represents the moon. Now, it's also referred to as the all-seeing eye, and people ascribe a number of meanings to the Eye of Horus, including protection and wisdom, healing, and revelation. And that's, I think, the key word here tonight is the revelation, because this is what we're doing with the connection. Channeling through Bonnie, they're going to reveal relevant information and answer any questions that you might have. So this is an appropriate card to draw to set the tone for tonight. And like I said, this deck is really good. It's smarter than the rest of us. When this card is drawn in a reading, it says that it will awaken your senses and open your third eye. So hopefully when you're listening tonight to Bonnie, to the connection, that third eye will maybe let you see things a little bit deeper than just what the words that you're going to hear. Now, if any of you, I'm just going to throw this in, if any of you like readings, I do a free reading on my website every Monday for the week. It's a weekly oracle thing. You just need to go to my website, marlabrooks.com, and it's on the front page. So just go ahead and get your reading for the week, and you'll know what you're going to be up against or not. All right. So I think Bonnie is just about ready to begin her channeling. The connection is here. So, all right. Bonnie, the connection. Are you with us now?
Greetings to all that observe this message. We are noticing an echo. Is that better? Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those that have been following this work, we thank you for coming over to this new method, as we are trying as many methods as we possibly can to get information out to as many people as would like to have this information. It is indeed for your benefit as you go through this transitional time. Please be aware, dear ones, as you should be by now, that the transitional time is well underway. We have spoken before about the falling and reorganization of governments. And I would imagine that most of you, especially in the United States and possibly the United Kingdom, would be more than aware of this on your news media. We do caution that you think very clearly for yourselves. Please do not follow the crowd, as the crowd can be manipulated. For those on a spiritual path, it truly is about exercising your powers of discernment. The time around you, your immediate environment, will become increasingly chaotic. The challenge for you is to keep your wits and your intuition about you so that you can make the decision that is the best decision for your well-being as an individual spirit living a life during this time. Please be aware that your being here during this time also means that you came in, most likely, for those I'm speaking to, with a mission. And you may or may not be aware of what your mission is as we speak at this place and time, but it will become more in the forefront as we move forward. As old systems fall away, new systems will need to be created. You are part of that master plan to bring in the new systems, and everything will be done differently. The core will be heart-based, not monetary-based. In some ways, it is back to an older, simpler time. But the current environment is impeding the spiritual path of most beings and cannot continue in that way. You will be at the forefront. So we hope that this helps you in some way. Please do not be so stuck on things in the mundane world, as they quickly dissolve if you focus in a different direction. We hope you understand what we mean by this. For an example, if you are going through a job loss, you will understand that before the loss occurred, you had high stress and you had deadlines, or you had customers or clients that demanded your time. But as soon as a decision is made for the job to be removed, so is all of that anxiety and stress. So it was indeed your own decision to participate in that anxiety and stress. It was not really there except by your agreement.
Are you?
So at this point, I think it's probably best to stop, because I do realize that we are giving you a lot to ponder and contemplate. We do have questions that people provided, which have been given to Marla, and we will do our best to address those questions at this time.
We've got some questions in the chat room as well, so I think we're going to go down the list. The first question from Mysteries Beyond says, I would like to know what shadow people are.
Shadow people are a interdimensional crossover. They have enough energy to manifest themselves into the third dimension, but they are not quite in the spiritual body either. So there is a remnant that is in the third dimension, and the rest remains over on what you would refer to as the other side. So they are not quite spirit people, as paranormal investigators would call them, but they are a remnant of a human being.
Okay. Juanita would like to she's wondering why some people remember bits and pieces of several past lives, because she's had that happen to her.
It is indeed possible, dear ones, to bring in skill sets from other lives. If you are getting glimpses of another time, try to focus in on what gifts and skills you had during that time, and make an attempt to bring those skill sets forward into this life. The best example we can provide to you would be the prodigy, who comes in already knowing how to play classical piano, for instance. That was learned in another lifetime, and they made the agreement to bring it into this current life. You also have this available to you now, more so than you ever did before. And you will need these tools going forward. You will need to stay very much aware of your spiritual path and your spiritual being and your purpose for being here. So getting glimpses of a past life is actually a very good clue to you to pay special attention to what you are observing and to determine why that's being shown to you. There is a purpose to it.
Okay. Gina wants to know, is there any advice for everyone that is listening within this live feed?
I think we answered your question at the beginning, unless you have something additional. The overall message for everyone who is listening in this space and time, and even at a future time, is that there are major earth changes occurring, there are governmental changes occurring, and your way of interacting in your society is going to be changing also. It is up to the individual to choose how they wish to handle those changes coming into their personal space. It is best to remain calm and to feel like you have some control over the choices, as opposed to feeling victimized by them. The choice is really yours as to how you wish to receive this new energy and new information coming in. We suggest that you be playful and look for new opportunities that didn't exist before. You will also be seeing some things that you might consider to be magical. There will also be information revealed to you that has been hidden for a very, very long time. It will be harder for truth to be hidden. Truth and integrity will be in higher demand than it has been in recent years. In recent years, it was actually a detriment in your work environment to have high integrity. It was more of an attitude of go along to get along, not a very positive thing for a spiritual being, as it wears on your being and causes great stress and disease, which is why many people are feeling very ill and having very extreme type of ailments that they can't necessarily explain. It is going against and having that resistance in your life that it causes poor health. Much better to flow along with the energies and take advantage of what those energies bring in.
Oh. Kathleen has an interesting question. She said, people in our lives are part of our soul family that travel with us through every lifetime. That's what she's heard, she says. What about animals? Are they part of our soul family, and will they be part of our next life?
You will be greeted by the animals that you have had in this life when you cross over. Everyone makes a new agreement for each life. So it would not be an accurate statement to say that everyone in your soul family will incarnate at the same time. But there will be members of your soul family that will. And the same for animals. It would not be practical, would it, to have every animal you had ever had in any life all be in your current life, unless, of course, you were Noah. So it is a choice, and the animals have choice, and they have a soul, and they truly do choose who they want to interact with, just like people do.
Okay. Gina has a follow-up question to what you were talking about earlier. She said, are these changes that were talked about going to be positive or negative for all of us? Will this earth turn for us get worse before it gets better?
As we said, you are in a transitional time, which causes chaos because as old systems fall away, new systems must be created. You, dear one, are in the middle of that teeter-totter and need to balance the teeter-totter, literally going back and forth on a day-to-day basis. You should already be seeing this. This is no longer future information, although we did provide this quite some time ago. We are assuming that the people coming in may not have heard this information before. So as you look at what is going on with the current systems on the planet, and also with the Earth changes, because the Earth is also going through transition. So there is a lot more solar activity, there is a lot more earthquake activity, there's volcanic activity. These things go on all the time. There's just more of it now than there has been before. And it is hitting areas that are now populated when in the past they were not. So it is directly affecting people that these earth changes are occurring. So the suggestion once again would be that if you want a positive, to make the choice for it to be positive and to be flexible. If you are in an area that is dangerous, or you are led to believe that it might be dangerous, it might be good to move to another area that's not in that kind of situation, as opposed to I'm going to stay no matter what kind of attitude. But it is indeed a choice as to which way you want to go. And the choices are made moment by moment, day by day.
All right. Now, Dale has a very interesting question, because I think Bonnie and I were talking about this just yesterday. Dale said, I notice items have seemed to disappear recently. Where do these items go? Because I've been looking for something for weeks now and I can't find it.
It is hard to explain exactly, but there are portals that can open and then close again. And things can also appear that were not there before as well. It does work in both directions. You may find at a later time that the object will reappear, probably in the same place where it was when it disappeared, which can be very frustrating for the human, because I'm sure you are looking everywhere for that missed item. As we say again, you are in a transitional time and you're getting less and less connected with the three-dimensional world. Magical things are going to start coming into view for everyone. And they will actually be a little more accepted than they have been in the past. So please feel free to talk about these occurrences that happen. As you will notice that if you start talking about it, someone else will say, yeah, that happened to me too. Because these things are happening all across the planet, not just to one individual person. We understand the frustration of losing a physical object, but if you check into your science, you will find that that object is not solid at all, like you think it is.
All right, we have another question from another Bonnie, a different Bonnie. When you have a paranormal experience, she means an especially intense one, can you consider that being on the other side during that time?
More often than not, the quote other side is coming into the third dimension, as opposed to you leaving and going into the dimension next to ours. We hesitate to give them numbers because they really don't have numbers. Labeling is a way for people in the third dimension to get a hold of the concept. But in true fact, they do not have a number. People have numbered them, third, fourth, fifth dimension kind of thing. It's more about the concept than the label. If you're doing an out-of-body type experience, then you actually are traveling into another dimension, or possibly can be traveling into another dimension. But if you've had a paranormal experience where the experience happened to you coming in that direction, if it was a loved one or a spirit person or whatever, they would be dropping their energy level down to the third dimensional level to have that experience with you, if that makes sense.
It does. Gina has another question, and she's asking, are past lives lessons in this life not learned in the past?
Not sure we're clear about your question. Each life is its own individual life, but there are certain aspects that can be carried forward into the future. If you are referring to things that you perceive as negative from a past life coming forward, such as a karmic reaction, that would not be true any longer. There is no karmic element to work through. We know that that's been taught in the past, but in this transitional time, it's all about dropping all of the old pain and hurt and everything that occurred either past life or earlier on in this life. It's about forgiveness and about love. Everything is heart-centered. So you're not being punished by something done in a past life in this life. But if you hold that belief, that could be an issue for you, because you are able to manifest that experience if that's what you want to experience. We think perhaps that isn't what you're intending. So better to intend that you are not haunted by another lifetime.
Okay, well, I have a follow-up question to that then. So if we're not, as we were told, coming back to make up for the deficits that we did before, then what is the purpose of our coming back over and over again, reincarnating?
The purpose this time is to get the planet and the people on the planet through this transition. So it is not the same as the reincarnations of the past, which was about living life experience. That's still true, but in the other lives, there was not the core mission like there is in this one. So it makes this round, this phase, different than the ones in the past, if that makes sense.
Okay. Very good answer. Another question from Dale. How does one differentiate personal life path choices versus events generated from other people's choices or actions that are not of your own choosing? There are variables or wild cards, from free will and world events to deal with.
Yes, there are. And isn't that the challenge, dear ones? If you could come in, fully intend everything that you wanted to intend in a straight line, how bored would you be? The challenge is to deal with the outside influences that come into your path, both the ones that you enjoy and the ones that maybe you do not, and the sorting through of that, while still also trying to get where you feel you need to go. It is a more complex game, is it not?
Seems to be, but nothing is ever easy. So it's all part and parcel. Juanita would like to know why loved ones from the other side can't tell us what's going to happen in the future.
They can't tell you because they don't exactly know. As we just said, you are driving your own path, and it's very, very difficult to determine what the future is going to be. As was in the prior question, decisions and cross decisions and someone else's intent as opposed to your intent greatly influence the outcome. So you have a conflict of energies flowing, do you not, as these paths collide with each other and separate out and come back. Because a person has crossed over to the other side does not make them all-knowing of future events, especially future events of someone else's life. It is not a realistic expectation that they would be able to tell you.
Okay, I can follow up with another question on that, because it's my belief that we're not supposed to know very much. And that even though beings on the other side do know, they can only tell us so much. The rest of it, we have to wait till we get there. How fair of an assessment is that?
That is also true. We probably should bring up something which is a beginning type of lesson for those that are not aware. Everyone has their own guidance system. We refer to it as a guidance system because in the past it's been referred to as an angel guide and things like that. We think that the dropping of the labels is now appropriate, that a maturity has been reached, that you can be aware that you're dealing with an energy and it isn't an angelic or anything like that. It is your own guidance system that you came in with. And there is interference in that is not allowed unless absolutely necessary and requested. Now, there is such a thing as coming in and saving someone from a death situation because they made a bad decision and it isn't time for them to leave yet. And you call those divine interventions. So emergency situations are indeed allowed. But in living the day-to-day life of the human, we are not allowed to influence that path. We can do what we are doing at this point in time, which is to point out to you that these tools are available to you and you have much more control over your experience than you've been led to believe in the past.
Okay, Gina is asking, do we have a choice when we pass if we wish to move on to start a new life?
We hesitate to answer this because, yes, you do have the choice, which is referred to as suicide, to end your life. It is a choice. It is not a choice that we would recommend, as there is great interruption. And when the choice was made, you were not looking at all the factors involved at the time that you made the choice. And if you had known everything involved, you might not have made that choice. But yes, people do make the choice to end their lives early.
And then do we have the ability to decide to stay on the other side or come back? Is there a choice there?
There absolutely is a choice there. The thing that it's hard for people living a life to understand, it seems like it's a very long stretch of time when you are here. It isn't when you're not here. So when you return back over to the other side and you do your life review, you say, well, gee, I wish I had done this or this or this. And you're given the opportunity to say, okay, do you want to go back and do you want to do those things? And you may decide that you do want to go back, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be a very long time that you're gone.
Yeah, time is quite different from what we understand over there than it is here. One more really good question from Dale. How are soul groups created or developed in the first place?
The best way we can relate this to you is family. And truly, everything is connected to everything else. And so it would not be inappropriate to say that everybody is your family. But these soul groups are people who have gotten together and decided that they want to have experiences together. And they incarnate around the same time, not necessarily exactly the same time. And you will know these people when you cross paths with them. They're the people that you feel like instantaneously that you have known your entire life. They feel like family, and they are. And the experiences can be very different each time that you incarnate with soul group members. You can have completely different types of relationships and types of roles. You could have been the mother one time, and this time you're the father, for instance. Changing your physical sex is completely appropriate as well. And so it is a collaboration, if you want to put it in those terms, with other people that want to have a shared experience when they meet you here in the third dimension.
And sometimes people think that the same soul group is from your most recent past life, but correct me if I'm wrong. We've had so many different lives that it may be somebody from 100 years, 200, 300 years ago that we still recognize, because they always say that you can tell a soul member not by their look, but by the feeling that they give you from their soul, right?
Your energy pattern is your energy pattern, regardless of what life you are living and how many lives you have lived. It remains your energy pattern. What your name is and what your life circumstances are change, but your core spiritual pattern remains the same, and it is a pattern that is recognizable to other people who have experienced your energy pattern before.
It's almost like feeling somebody else's vibration, because that's kind of how we deal with people. Even currently, we can feel their vibration and see if it's a good vibration, a bad vibration, step back or whatever. So I'm kind of going on that as well, right?
Absolutely, and it has a magnetics to it, this energy pattern. And so some people will repel you and other people you'll be drawn to. And it is the magnetics, just like any kind of magnet. Some draw together and some repel.
But it's interesting, I think, and we don't want to keep this session going on too long because Bonnie needs to come back out. But when there are some certain people can meet somebody for the first time and immediately take a like or dislike to them. Other people don't have that capacity. It takes them a while to get to know somebody before they can make a judgment. People say that, well, if you make a snap judgment, you're wrong all the time. But I really think intuition plays a good part, and I usually trust my gut. So when, it's not unnatural for some people to do it right away and some people to kind of slowly get the feel of somebody else, right?
It really depends on how in tune the person is with their guidance system. Not everyone is in tune with their guidance system. Not everyone is aware that they even have a guidance system. You will find, however, those that take jobs that are life and death type of situations, law enforcement, for instance, firefighters, those kind of people, you will very often hear them talk about their gut feeling. They may not be on the spiritual path as we would say. They may not be aware of a spiritual guidance system, but they are aware that they have an intuition about a feeling as to whether to go into that dangerous situation or not, what that person might be doing at the time. Very high amount of awareness is required in those kind of jobs. So it exercises that intuition on an ongoing basis. Other people may not be in situations where they are exercising their intuition, although they should be doing that, as opposed to, as we said earlier, just following along with the crowd. You need to be going in a different direction, your own individual path direction, not just blindly following. You're not really actively living your life if you're doing that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think we're going to get Bonnie back, but is there any final words that you have before we end this session?
We would just like to thank everyone that joined in the session this evening. We hope that the information was helpful to you and that you start your week off with a new vision and insight. Please know that the information is positive. Please don't be fearful of what you see in your environment. You do have control over your experience. So we would like you very much to keep calm and not concern yourselves with anything that does not directly affect you, but do stay aware of external events. Don't just shut them out like they don't exist, because they do. So you need to keep a small amount of awareness while also staying very focused on what you are here to do and what your mission is. Until we meet again.
Thank you.
I'm back. I have a gun pointed at me.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have bullets.
Right off camera. I guess it's a thermal imaging. We were just talking about law enforcement. I come out of channel, there's a gun and a meter.
You just never know what goes
See,
on.
I need to like, oh, there, where are you?
Okay, there you go.
Oh, go ahead. There he is. Okay, so you know I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
All right. So how do you feel? How are you?
So I'm good. Do you guys have anything you want to say about any readings you picked up, or
when you first start, just before you spoke, the temperature drops 5 degrees.
Can you hear him, Marla?
I can, yes. But
okay, I just want to make sure. He's saying when I very first started to channel that the temperature in the room dropped 5 degrees. My temperature dropped 5 degrees.
As you
the camera's right here. So
as you finished, it's okay. As you finished, the temperature dropped another 5 back down again, back up, and then back down and back up again.
Wow.
It started to finish 5 degrees every time.
Wow. That's interesting. See, I've never been monitored like that before, so you're like the first one to get this information.
There's nothing on the EMF.
Okay.
But that's the temperature was really clear. I'll have to review this later on the.
Yeah, they're going to review the audio later on for any EMF type of thing. So I guess and my hands are very cold too. Yeah, so I guess my personal temperature, not the temperature in the room.
No, it stays the same, just you.
Oh, it was just me.
We stay the same temperature. You drop
Oh, okay. So you guys stayed the same temperature. I dropped 5. And then when I came back out of channel, I dropped another 5. The same 5. Okay, so I went back up and back down. Wow. Have you ever run into that before? No? Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting. Do you have any thoughts, Marla?
No, I was just kind of in between when you were talking. I was kind of looking around to see what was going on back there, if anything was going on back there. And then I was kind of looking in my little thing to see if anything is going on back here too, because as you know, when we start doing things like this, things start happening at times.
Yeah. Anyone in the chat room observe any interesting things going on in the environments? Feel free to type it in if you did.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of a delay, so if we look like we're just sitting here saying nothing, it's because we're waiting for you guys to hear what we said.
Yeah, my brow is kind of furrowed from checking the chat room today. But yeah, that's interesting about your body temperature going up and down like that, vacillating. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, I haven't been subject to monitoring before, so it's interesting to see, because I was pretty sure there'd be some sort of physical evidence. We have noticed in the past, not sure if it happened tonight or not, and I should have mentioned this to you, that when I'm in channel, my eyes will go like this, side to side. Yeah, so
Your hands are moving.
Yeah, your fingers going up.
oh, so my fingers were going? Okay.
That the next finger is you can sit all the time.
Oh, okay. But the dog remained calm,
Yeah.
so it's all good energy for her, which is good. Did she fell asleep? That's
Yeah, and then she woke up and she yawned, and it made me yawn, and I was hoping maybe until I got the yawn out of me. Yeah.
I forgot she was there, so she was there when I went under, and she was still there when I got back. I have no idea.
Juanita said she saw the red light blinking in the back.
Yep, that would be the monitor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed too was that when you came in and took my picture, I could see you, but it didn't disrupt me from channeling. So that's fine. So as long as it's quiet enough, a little bit is okay. So, and I saw you a couple times too. So you must have moved like a little, because you were like right there.
Yeah, it's trying to get pictures of
Yeah, so you moved too. So all I saw was your movement. I didn't really know. I just noticed that you.
I wish I could.
Oh, see that I totally missed that.
Is this the first time that you've had more than maybe one person with you and doing all this stuff in all the live sessions you've done?
Well, the sessions that I did at the Healthy Spirit in Chula Vista, I actually had a live audience.
Okay.
But in the times that we have done the sessions on your radio show and things like that, I've been by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, well, Harley's been here. People have heard her footsteps on the floor. But no, I've always been by myself. But if Dale is still in the chat room, Dale attended the couple of the live sessions that I did here locally. And I think I was saying before on one of the test things that one of the highlights of it was that I had a camera running on a tripod, and we actually had an audible voice that came through, not only on the camera, but also audience members heard it, Dale being one. So it was audible to the human ear as well as picked up by the camera. And it wasn't coming through me channeling, it just came through audibly on its own.
Mm-hmm. So Dale said something very interesting, that in live sessions, you can feel the energy in the room when the connection is present.
Yeah. Did you guys feel an energy difference? Yeah, Cynthia's nodding her head, which is not very helpful for video. Mm-hmm. So that's when the temperature came back up, so you felt like a wave of heat.
That's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, well, she's very open and she's like connected with me already. Like we were instant friends. So there's that connection there too. Yeah. So Cynthia did feel a change in the energy. Dale, I think I was telling you that there was one person that felt like the connection had gotten into their head.
Yeah.
But there again, they were asking personal questions, not big picture questions. That was Dale that felt like they were like probing in his head. So he was actually getting that kind of a sensation after he asked his question.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I found a lot of pressure there.
Yeah. Cynthia's saying she felt a lot of pressure in her third eye, basically, right?
Well, see,
Yeah.
that was where the card came in. The Eye of Horus.
Yep. Eye of Horus. There you
I was
go.
actually Googling that Eye of Horus this morning, by the way.
Oh, Cynthia says to tell you, Marla, that she was Googling Eye of Horus this morning.
I was looking at some movies.
My deck is brilliant. I'm sorry. It's not me that did it, but it's just so right on in so many different aspects. We've got questions now. I think this one should wait till next week. And I'll mention it now that I think it's Elijah wonders if dimensions have different temperatures. I'd like to hear what the connection has to say about that.
Well, it's interesting because somebody also asked about traveling to other dimensions when you're having a paranormal experience. So with this temperature drop thing, I'm wondering where exactly I'm going, because I'm here and I can hear, but I did completely miss you guys closing the door, and you had to have crossed right past my line of sight to do that. So I must have been a little deeper under when that was going on. And then did you notice, did I make any eye movement or any acknowledgement that, yeah. So when you crossed my path though, I didn't make like any change in eye movement or anything, right? I just stayed. So I was not even aware. So at least for that gap of time, I wasn't aware of this dimension at that time. So that becomes an interesting question I don't know the answer to because I'm not connected. It's just me.
I'm going to interrupt for a second because we're getting short on time, but I think anybody that has a question in the chat room now, like that one, please write them down and either send them to Bonnie and her things on any of her sites, or you can send it to me on my website, which is marlabrooks.com, and we'll collect them throughout the week. And then, as well as live, we'll have other questions to ask as well. Is that fair?
Sounds like a great suggestion to me.
Yeah. And again, Gina, my webpage is marlabrooks.com, and just show up on a Monday on the homepage and you'll get the oracle reading for the week, and it'll be there all week. So, I mean, you have to get there at 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday because it probably won't be up that early. But just check it out, and it's there and it's free, and it's, a lot of people want a heads up for what's coming up ahead, and it helps a lot.
And Marla has a new deck coming out soon. Can you talk about it or no? Is it secret?
I can't. Well, sort of. They sold out
on the spot.
I know. I'm going to dance around this one. They sold out on the old decks completely, and so they there was a chance to either just reprint them as they were or to embellish them and make some changes. And we made some really interesting changes that aren't in the first deck that deal with crystals and stones. That's all I can say. So it'll be out. You can go to the Oracle deck page on my website and find out about that. I mean, anything you need to go to the website. It's so easy. And like Bonnie's too. Go to bonnievent.com. She's got everything there.
Yeah, everything you ever wanted to know. And I do readings and all of those things as well. But they do tend to be the more high level life coaching kind of readings. I can do other types as well, but that seems to be the one that's really the most beneficial for people.
Yeah.
And I have a very quick and low cost one too, which is the email readings. And you send me 2 questions. I tune in, I get the answers for you, just like I did this evening, and send them back to you. And I can also record them. So if you want an audio as well as a text response, I can do that as well.
Mm-hmm. And I've got a readings page, a services page on mine too, and kind of the same thing. It goes different kinds of readings, runs the gamut. So yeah, I mean, just check out during this week, before you come back next week, check out my website, check out Bonnie's website. And yeah, it'll kill a few hours because she's got a lot of stuff on hers and I've got a lot of stuff on mine. So, great place to
For
go.
those that are interested in paranormal research type information, I also have sdparanormal.com, which stands for San Diego Paranormal. And my field investigation work is over on that website, because I have done that kind of work as well, which is why I'm familiar with the gadgets and the monitoring and all of that kind of thing. I do go out to sites and talk to the spirit people and find out why they're there and see if we can assist them. So yeah, I pretty much run the whole gambit of everything here.
And they can also find us on Facebook and friend us. The people that aren't friends on Facebook already can do that as well.
Yeah, and there is a group for this show on Facebook. So if you put in the connection with Bonnie Vent, you should find it. There's a Facebook group just specifically for this this show.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the information was useful to you. And please go out and have a really awesome week. And we'll see you next Sunday. You ready to go, Marla?
I'm ready. Bye, everybody.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.